The Walther P99 is one of my all-time favorites. It's probably the gun that really got me fueled and fired up for pistols and taught me that handguns don't have to suck. Now that the final edition is out, am I going to feel the same? Now, I obviously have fond memories and shot the bejeebus out of my old P99 AS that I picked up in 2015. I think I bought it used. That was also before a lot of our protocols have been developed here on the channel. So with this brand new final edition, we're going to run it through the GBGuns setup. That is cold shots, first impressions, full magazine +1, what's for dinner to see what it eats, the spinner for sights and trigger control, some practical accuracy, and then concluding thoughts. I'm really curious to see how this goes. Has the last effectively 20 years of handgun development changed things that much? Is the P99 a dated classic now, like a Glock, or is it still relevant? Start things off with 10 rounds for cold shot first impressions, and I'm using the New Republic 115 grain ammo. If you want to know more about that, check out the ammo test. It fared okay in the test setup, but I bought a case of it, so that's what we're going through. We have our reduced size torso out at about 23 yards or so. I've decocked for first shot. Let's see if some of that training is going to kick in. Kind of all over the place. Maybe I just need to focus more. Recoil is pretty manageable. Did not get slide lock because my thumb rests on the slide lock lever. That's a classic thing for me with my hand size and Walthers and anything else that has those long slide releases. It's interesting to shoot. I haven't shot one with the stock recoil spring in a long time. I've got a DPM system in my one that I've had forever. And still very manageable. I don't get where people say that Walthers are snappy. I'm not feeling it. For a 4-inch 15 round 9mm, it feels pretty darn smooth. Next, full mag +1, decocked. That gives us 16 rounds of capacity. See if I can shoot a little quicker on that steel. I might just be out of practice today. We'll have to find out. Make sure I'm still in frame. Yes. And here we go. Double action first shot. Full mag +1 worked fine. My shots weren't the greatest. We'll find out when I slow things down and focus a little more in what's for dinner. That's also when we'll find out what the gun will eat. And it's the crowd favorite, what's for dinner time, the test where we look to possibly indicate load compatibility, issues or non-issues. As we move by this, you'll see that today we're going from 65 grain up to 150 grain, and then all of these rounds have different shapes, overall lengths. The ogives are in different locations. We've got different case materials. The test is to see, will it feed, fire, cycle another round of the same type, and will it lock open on empty, if I can keep my thumb out of the way. Anything beyond that is testing the magazine. If you're curious about trying any of these loads in your own gun, check the pinned comment for the link to gbgunsdepot.com, where we've linked to some sources for these loads. Target camera is fired up. Time to see what the P99 will eat. We are 7 yards away, if you guys are curious. Considering that this gun was designed and developed before a lot of these loads even existed, kind of interesting to see how it'll run. Our lightest load today is the Civil Trainer from Liberty Ammunition. It's a lead-free, non-toxic, ultralight recoil, 65 grain. For circle number 1, and decock, get that double action first shot. Pretty soft shooting. Did get some muzzle flip, of course, but as far as the actual pounding in the wrist, not much at all from that. Next up is the 1776. I'd never heard of this stuff before. It says made in the USA, lead-free sporting. This is a 90 grain, promising 1,350 feet per second. Circle number 2. That was very pleasant shooting. That was really nice. Smells a little, I guess you could say chlorinated. I know I use that description a lot, but I don't have a better word for it. Speaking of chlorine and breathing, thanks to whoever pointed out last couple videos that I've been seeming out of breath. I developed asthma recently. It's lots of fun. So breathing is a task. Circle 3 is Hornedy's Critical Defense Light, only 100 grains. This is a very pointy bullet, has a profile much more like a 380 than a 9mm, and that's part of, well, it was one of the founding rounds for What's for Dinner test, because I saw a lot of guns didn't like it back then. Now I'm getting used to that reset. Spectacular trigger on there. Comfortable to shoot. I would say, yeah, recoil on that was softer than it was on the 1776 before that. Now we've got Blazer aluminum, 115 grain. We use aluminum and steel case because, well, it's cheaper. But the downfall to it is you have different friction coefficient between the rounds stacked in the magazine and going into and out of the chamber. You also have different expansion and contraction rates after the detonation. As a result, some guns don't like it. Kind of throws off the timing, if you will. Circle number 4. I don't know. Oh, okay. Wasn't sure where that one went. I didn't quite feel a wall that time. But man, I'm loving the reset on the single action. Super nice. No issues with aluminum for the Walther. Next is Wolf steel case, used for the same reason as the aluminum. It's the black box stuff you guys might recognize, 115 grain. It also tested to be one of the more powerful loads out there, believe it or not, out of common range ammo. And it really felt nice in the P99. It's almost like it wants to run hotter stuff, considering the gun was developed in Germany, a NATO country, and in Europe, where 124 grain is the thing. Maybe it was designed for 124 to begin with. So here's a 124, the Federal Hydroshock, 124 grain, circle 6. I'm finding the double action, like most double actions, goes better if you just pull through it and not try to really stage it much. It's a little hard to predict, at least currently in this brand new gun. I don't recall having that issue with my old P99, but that's probably because I've shot it a lot and worn that trigger in a little bit. Another 124 grain Federal Syntech Training Match. This is the stuff with the purple polymer casing on it for circle 7. That stuff was certainly heavier recoiling. Now a 135 grain, it's the Federal Hydroshock Deep, which has a slightly different design to it. Looks a lot like the now defunct Norma, I forget the name of that. It was a 124 grain match round that used to make spectacular stuff, but they've since stopped making it, I guess. So 135s, circle 8. Yep, just got to pull right through. And I'm starting to learn the gun. That is a nice group. Really, really enjoy the paddle mag release on these things. That is a favorite feature of mine. with Walthers, the older Walthers anyways, until they dropped them. It's so much faster and more comfortable, but people didn't like it. Winchester 147 grain, Defender, Circle 9. See, I tried staging the trigger that time. It was a little bit tougher. Good solid recoil impulse. That round has been uncomfortable in other guns. It was not uncomfortable in the P99. And our last load, heaviest, is the Federal 150 grain action pistol with a red synthetic jacket. This is the gamer load. Circle 10. Oh yeah, that's a gamer load. Much softer shooting, but it doesn't seem to really matter much in the P99. Some of those classically heavy recoiling rounds, to me, felt almost more comfortable. Maybe that's just because the ergonomics of the gun just fits my hand very nicely. Let's take it over to the spinner and see how I can do with sights and trigger control over there. That is our 6-inch Titan Grid Outdoors spinner target. I'm back here about 13 yards away from it. Give myself 8 rounds of that New Republic ammunition to see how well I can do sights and trigger control on this. The reason why we use this target is as I hit it, it starts spinning. The more or better I hit it, the faster it moves, and the more important timing a well-placed shot can be. It's not a flawless test, but it works. Trying first round in that double action. Not too bad. So that was surprisingly easy, or should I say, it should be easy. A lot of time behind a P99. The trigger, excellent, crisp. That short reset and defined wall makes it very easy to time your shot to know when it's going to happen. The sights are just basic, classic 3 white dot sights. They worked. My personal preference is I prefer, if they're going to be 3 white dots, that the front dot be a little bit larger or brighter than the rear, simply because that helps draw my eye to it rather than have my eye deciding constantly if it wants to focus on the front sight or the rear sight, despite me telling it to focus on the front sight. But it did well on the spinner. I think the misses were definitely shooter error on my part, not the gun holding me back. Let's do some practical accuracy and then wrap up with concluding thoughts. After-shot thoughts on the Walther P99 ASFE. It's still the great gun that I loved. I was really curious after having reviewed, what, 400 pistols now or so, if I would still feel the same coming back to one of my first loves in the handgun world. I think it's great that they're still around. Even though they've been in production for 26 years, they haven't always been imported to the US in quantity. That's always sort of made them a collector's find. This is one final push before Walther says goodbye to what I think is one of the best handguns out there. I really, really wish and hope that we're gonna see a P99 Gen 2 and bring it up to speed, keep that paddle mag release. But in 26 years later, I think the only thing left wanting on this is for people who shoot with dots. You don't really have a good way to put a dot on here because you've got that decock button up top there. But other than that, very nicely functional, very comfortable gun to shoot. As you guys saw in the tabletop, I gave the little tidbits on some of the history. And another note on things that I love about Walther, that I think they do really well, is Walther supports holsters. Whether or not Walther is selling it at their store, if you go to waltherarms.com, you can find holster guides for most Walther firearms where they list the variety of stuff out there. Now, obviously with this gun being in production so dang long, there's plenty of options out there, but this is a nice one from CompTac that, as you can see, can serve inside the waistband or outside the waistband. Simply remove whichever mount you're not going to use. And the inside is cant adjustable for those that are appendix or strong side carry. And it's got that final edition Walther embossed on it, and in green to somewhat match the classic green on there. I think that's very, very cool Walther. It's not often you see foreign, in particular German manufacturers, or Austrian for that matter, that pay a whole lot of attention to what consumers want or need in the US. Most of those guns are developed for military or law enforcement contracts locally, and then they sell them on the US civilian market and US law enforcement market kind of as an afterthought. So for Walther to not only tell you where you can find holsters, but also have special editions like this done by great companies like Comtac is pretty cool. That shows there's some enthusiasts there. If you have not shot a P99, find one and try it. If you've ever considered getting one, now's the time to grab it. Now, it's not often that you think, oh, I need to buy something before they stop making it. Particularly in the handgun world, a lot of folks are concerned about parts and repair and warranty. These still have the same Walther warranty as far as I can tell in the manual. And with a 26-year production run and multi-international contracts, I'm sure there are plenty of parts out there. On my old beater P99 that I shot the snot out of, I haven't had anything break. No, I haven't needed any parts. I swapped out the recoil spring just in chasing speed, but that was an option. And there are plenty of options out there, including some which Walther even lists on their own site. Pretty cool. Thank you, Walther, for making this available one last time. And those of you who are serious handgunners should have a P99 in your collection. I highly, highly encourage it. It will teach you to appreciate a lot of things. And though it's a classic gun, it has aged really, really well. It's kind of like, I guess you could say, some models of Volkswagens and Audis where you see it 2 or 3 generations later and it still looks modern enough, the exterior design and things. The function and fit and performance of the P99 holds its own against today's brand new stuff 26 years later. That's pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Bonus round because I'm curious, I'm sure you guys are as well. Target camera set up. We are 23-ish yards away from that reduced size torso. Loaded up 10 rounds in the brand new P99 ASFE, 10 rounds in my old P99 with the recoil system and tritium fiber optic sights, as well as a trigger baller that has been polished with use. So I want to see, do I do any better? Now I'm going to go as quickly as I can think I'm going to hit, not just doing a burn down here. And I'm curious if I see a difference or if you guys see a difference. Those of you that have made it this far in the video are quality viewers and thinkers, so I really like to hear from you. Do you guys see a difference? Once again, the difference between the pistols, trigger bar that's a little more worn in, DPM system, recoil system set to its stiffest, and some tritium fiber optic sights versus bone stock. Double action first shot, and make sure that's on. Yes. We're watching not only for hits, but also for recoil control. Now, the old guy. Wow, that decocker button was a lot smoother, and the grip feels smoother. Bright sights. I don't think I hit as many with my old one. Sights might be a little bit off. I know the guy who installed them is not a gunsmith. I don't know if there was much of a recoil difference or not. Maybe it was a little bit smoother in this. But man, certainly not the speed or accuracy that I used to shoot with out of this gun. That's all me. But I'm curious, did you guys see a difference? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.